The controller told us that these objects had been observed for over 2 weeks, coming down from over 80,000 feet, rapidly descending to 20,000 feet, hanging out for hours, and then going straight back up. For those who don't realize, above 80,000 feet is space.
Is there a correlation between any of the characteristics of these UAPs, UFOs?
What we tend to see are the smaller vehicles tend to be, think of a sports car. The large ones tend to be not always, but almost exclusively either triangular shape or boomerang shape.
Werewolves?
I see dead people walking around like regular people. They don't see each other. They only see what they want to see. They don't know they're dead.
The UFO UAP community was fairly surprised. Shocked might be a better word.
If you believe we have crashed craft, stated earlier, do we have the bodies of the pilots who piloted this craft?
Biologics came with some of these recoveries. Yeah.
Were they, I guess, human or non-human biologics?
Non-human.
Do you think there is life on other planets?
Well, I'm not quite sure, but I suppose there would be.
I've seen a flying saucer.
You've seen one?
Yes, definitely. At Lane Cove.
When was this?
1953.
You don't think this is a figment of your imagination?
Several other people with me saw it.
I'm not wishing that all that stay with me.
The power of Christ compels you! The power of Christ compels you!
There is now a new UFO whistleblower with some major bombshell level statements.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
This episode is brought to you by 7 completely awesome people. Lisa Bowden, Tabin Rice, Kelly Lewis, Mecca Mickey, Diane Boss, Jeanette Angel, and Dorothy Hawkins. And a special thank you to all of the subscribers on YouTube and followers on Spotify. If you wish to support the podcast, you can hit that join button below to help become an Eyes to That Sky member. Or if you want to join our Patreon or provide other support, the links are below in the show description. But now, on with the show. Welcome to the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters podcast, where we explore the unexplained and mysterious phenomena that have occurred throughout the state of Michigan and beyond.
From UFO sightings to ghostly encounters, we delve deep into the stories, the evidence, and the theories behind these strange events.
We are your hosts. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Wayne.
We are an educator duo that after an encounter with a triangular UFO in 2018 in Michigan, we decided to investigate UFOs and the paranormal. In this podcast, we will be speaking with eyewitnesses, experts, and researchers to uncover the truth about some of the most intriguing cases of paranormal activity in and around Michigan.
Our goal is not to convince anyone of the existence of these phenomena, but rather to provide a platform for discussion and exploration. So, buckle up and join us on this journey down the paranormal rabbit hole.
On an escalator.
Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters. We are coming to you live from southeastern Michigan within the shadow of the great Motor City, Detroit, Michigan. As we are tucked away in our little humble abode, we wanted to welcome everyone to the show. It is Sunday, June 2nd, 2024. And as I was talking to our guest a little bit backstage, it has been a very quiet, uneventful, kind of a chill out Sunday this evening as we prepare for our last full week of school. Michelle, what do you have to say for that?
Wayne has to go to school longer than I do.
Oh, God.
I have till Friday.
Yeah, okay. Well, you're just a talking head tonight.
I am.
literally.
I'm a talking icon. If I could get that app that would make the mouth move with my fingers on my sunglasses, that would be a great thing.
Oh, God. Yeah, well, you probably get AI to do that, right?
Oh. Yeah, we're not going that far tonight.
All right. So to get things kicked off here, we got to do our little bit of housekeeping. Michelle, if they got a story, where do you want them to send it?
Oh, to mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com. Well, we need some.
Yeah, people, we need
stories.
you to.
We've seen a couple in the Facebook group. So, but definitely would like to hear some stories from our crew.
Yeah, we know you're out there, people. We know you're out there. We know you're having experiences. You're seeing things. You're experiencing things. Send us those emails. We'd like to get your story out there, and we'll keep it completely anonymous if that's what you so choose. All right. With that being said, if you want to make a donation to the podcast, you can do so using PayPal, Super Chats. You can buy us a coffee or join our Patreon. And all those links can be found below. And we are now 9 episodes. Michelle, you believe that? 9 episodes from our 100th episode. 4 years of doing this show.
Dude, that's crazy.
It is crazy. And sometimes I feel crazy doing the show with so much stuff going on, especially at the end of the school year. But we are going to be doing a get-together, just something a little informal place at our favorite little neighborhood establishment, New Boston Coney and Grill. And there's going to be some more stuff coming out on that here shortly. But we're looking at probably the last week or early July. So last week of June or early July. So, yep. And next thing, just want to say hello to everybody tonight. We're streaming live, of course, on YouTube. We are on X and now Instagram. So everybody, thank you for joining us tonight. All right, Michelle, we got a heck of a show tonight.
Tonight we have Nancy Thames, former D.O.D. employee who says she is a lifelong contactee of interdimensional extraterrestrial beings and a voice for alien disclosure and spiritual awakening.
Yes.
So we have a whole lot to talk about her early experiences, her time at the D.O.D., and dealing with her life of ET contact and how these experiences have shaped her life.
Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. With that being said, let's just go ahead and bring our guest on for tonight. Nancy, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I'm awfully glad to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, the privilege is all on our side. We're happy to finally be able to get you on. Usually if we have a guest scheduled and then something pops up that stops the guest from showing up when they need to, like when you had your family things going on, we know that it's going to be a good show because it just seems like, the universe sometimes wants to slow things down on us. And that's when we know it's going to be good. So thank you for joining us tonight.
Oh, I'm proud to be here.
See, this is how I know it's going to be a good show. Nancy has a doppelganger. Ooh. You look exactly like my middle school choir teacher.
Oh, my goodness.
To a T.
Wow.
Well, there you go.
So you do. And I absolutely loved her as a teacher. So again, you have a doppelganger and.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's a sign.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's just like one of our members in our group here, Dorothy Hawkins, looks like crazy like my mom. Back from when my mom was still alive. I mean, she could have been her twin sister. It's really crazy how these things kind of pan out. But let's go ahead and let's get started with your interview.
Okay.
Just want to open it up to you so you could give our audience a little bit of a background or a glimpse into your background and what started you down this path of ufology, I guess is the technical term, and ET contact. Very interesting.
Yes. I'm a lifelong contactee with interdimensional beings and extraterrestrials. And my first conscious memories go back as far as like 2 to 3 years old. And my experiences at that age were very fun, very playful, something that I looked forward to, had absolutely no fears. And this continued on up into the present, to this present day. I still have visitations, and I have face-to-face physical where, I'm holding hands, I touch their skin, they touch my skin, we have physical contact, and I have a relationship with them and a bond that is unbelievable. I have so much love for them. But as I was getting older, when I got to about junior high school age, in that time frame, I started becoming afraid of my experiences because the world around me was telling me that these things weren't real. They were telling me if they were real, it would be demonic, or it would be a dream, or all these negative things they were saying. So at that point, and I also realized with my family, when I was little, they would brush it off pretty much as just a very vivid imagination. But as I got older, and I was very active in sports, very active in like Girl Scouts and different activities, and my parents would typically tell me, you cannot talk about things like this. I grew up in Tennessee, which is part of a Bible Belt, and you do not talk about these kind of things. It does not fly over well at all. So I learned to suppress it at a very, very young age, because not only did it keep peace within my family, but also from being judged by the world outside of my home, which it was very obvious that that's exactly what it is. That everybody the world wasn't ready for these topics. And I find it just wondrous now that we can actually have these topics. It's more open now than it's ever been in my lifetime, or really anybody's, and it's a shame that some of the old timers that kind of help boost this into play aren't getting to be a part of this now. And it started a long time ago, and it's been suppressed, and it's been denied to us. The information has been denied to us. So that's what disclosure is all about, is for us to finally find out the truth about the world. But I think it goes even deeper than that. It is not only finding what the government has kept from us, but also this is a evolutionary waking up period for human beings. This is a point in our evolution where we are finally reaching higher levels of consciousness, and we are realizing there's a lot more going in the world around us than what we just can see with our five senses. We use our five senses to explore the world around us, and we can only see so much in this 3D realm. But I think we are realizing, and we are reaching that level to where we know there's more going on all around us. And scientists are putting out information all the time about how plants and every living creature on this planet is a living conscious being. Our earth itself is a living conscious being. Plants, trees, everything is living conscious beings. Insects have a consciousness. They're not the same consciousness that humans have, but they're still part of this planet, part of Earth, and everything it does have is a living conscious being. So basically, all my life, I've had these experiences, and it was basically a process of helping me understand who I am within, not the Nancy Thames the world around me has programmed me into, but the true Nancy Thames that chose to come to Earth, that found my inner soul self, and I know why I'm here, why I chose to be here, and why I have such the connection with extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. So throughout my life, I've had many, many experiences. I've seen my two sons taken for their first time and never understood these things, and had my very upsetting times, and at times that I just wanted to pull my hair out thinking, I'm going crazy. This is unreal. So it's not an easy process, but throughout time, I now understand, now that I'm 64 years old, and I now have a different understanding of the whole purpose of all this, what it all meant. I finally am able to put the pieces together and understand why they let me see my sons being taken. You know, at the time when it happened, I thought it was horrendous, horrible thing. But now I realize they could have done it and I would have never, ever even known. But they wanted me to see it. They wanted me to be a part of it. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand. Everything in our involvement with them has been for a purpose, for a further purpose down the road. And we're just now getting to this evolutionary stage to where we can understand these things and understand that some of the things we may have perceived it or misunderstood it at the time. But when we realize that we've been programmed to think certain ways, and this has been going on for eons and decades, not just in our lifetimes, but human beings have been programmed for a very, very long time to see the negative aspects of life, to, just basically we've been programmed to think negative. We've been programmed to work 9 to 5. We've been programmed to think about materialistic things. We've been to think only about ourselves. And really and truly, it gets down to the basics. We are connected to this planet and we are connected to everything on it. We are all one and we are all connected. So I think we are waking up and realizing our connections and understanding our origins for the first time. And that's what this has been a spiritual process for me, a personal spiritual growth to understanding why it was happening to me, the different aspects of it, which are not always fun and good. It's very fearful at times, but it takes a period of time to reach that understanding. And about 2 years ago, they gave me a Kundalini awakening. And they also did this with my son. And when they did that, it scared me to death. This didn't happen to us at the same time. And I didn't even talk about it for a month afterwards because I didn't understand what it was. It scared me to death. I didn't know if I had died and lived through it. I didn't know exactly what it was. It wasn't like my other experiences that I had had. This was very, very strange. But I do know that all of a sudden, my thinking, my understanding of things, everything came together and was pieced together. I finally understood where this information that was coming into my mind was coming from. And it opened my subconscious up into my human consciousness. And my human consciousness had blocked a lot of things. Our brains do that. When we come here, anything that we might have known in our soul self is blocked from us, and we don't know it because we're here to learn and experience. Our human experience is a learning experience. But our subconscious knows a lot of things. So when that opened up, that just kind of like opened up all this information that just was unbelievable.
And do you think that
opportunity to ask me something?
Well, do you think? Well, I got a lot of questions now, but let me start with this. After you came forward, did anybody from your family come up to you, after they admonished you, don't talk about this, don't say this? Did anybody pull you to the side and go, look, don't tell anybody, but I have had the same thing happen, or I'm getting the same information. Did anybody ever come to you like that? Family or friends afterwards?
Not friends, but family. I was told not to talk about this for many, many reasons because of being in the Bible Belt and how it was perceived. And people were actually put in mental institutions and really frowned upon as and considered crazy. And my parents didn't want me treated like that. They didn't want me to be picked on at school. And to be honest, they would talk about it, but not overboard. I mean, it would get to the point where they would just say, enough, that's enough. And my sister has had experiences, not to the extent that I have had, but she has had experiences. My oldest son has experiences just like I do. And we have always talked about it. But as he has gotten older and his experiences have increased in his understanding of it, and now he's had the Kundalini awakening, we have full-fledged, beautiful conversations and really go deep into trying to understand above what our human world tells us. We understand that it's more than what humans understand and know. This is beyond our level of understanding. They are billions of years ahead of us in evolution, and there is nothing human about it. Our physics, anything that our technology or whatever, does not apply in their reality. And when people try to humanize it, that's just their egos. They're trying, because it is way above anything of we are just now getting to that consciousness of even getting close to understanding.
Okay, so that was one of my questions I was going to ask you. When you were bringing up the five senses, right? That we are observing the observable universe in. We evolved from a primate, that these are the best things that we had to survive. I think the only thing that wasn't taken into account was the fact that we are conscious, that we had a conscious awakening of some point, whether it was, depending on who you talk to, it was spiritual, it was the human running around and eating a certain mushroom or whatever that woke us up, whatever the case may be, whatever you want to believe out there. But I'm wondering if consciousness is basically like the sixth sense, right?
Absolutely. And
So,
I can tell you this.
Yeah.
Their craft are living conscious beings. Their craft has a consciousness. Their pilots are, through their DNA, they're genetically designed to be a pilot. So when the pilot gets in, male or female, gets in, that consciousness meets up with the craft's consciousness. The pilot simply thinks destination and bam, they go. Also, you and I are talking I'm on a laptop. You're either on a laptop or a computer. Technology is a separate entity from us, correct?
Yep.
In their reality, their consciousness is the technology. Technology is not a separate entity.
I see. Okay.
So when they do exams, it's done consciously. When they travel, it's done consciously. When they manifest something, it's done consciously. We try to humanize and make up all these things, but they are so far ahead of us, and we are just stepping up. And what you were just saying about how all of a sudden we had that great leap. It could be just simply just like what I experienced, a Kundalini awakening.
Right.
Where, and for me, what happened was I was asleep, and all of a sudden my body came forward up in the bed and my head went like this. And then like this surges of energy came through me all the way down to my trunk, the lower part of my waist, trunk, end of my trunk, and then back up. And then I would go back down and then it would pull me back up. And it did that 3 times. And I was not asking for anything like that to happen. But it was part of an evolutionary process. There's no doubt. And I feel like more and more people are going to start to have that happen. And I just hope that they'll have a better understanding of what it is than I did, because it was a month before I even would talk about it or mention it to anybody, because I didn't know what it was.
Yep.
I had no idea. Yeah.
Okay. I want to jump back a little bit into your background. And in your bio, you talk about being a former D.O.D. employee.
Yep.
What can you tell us about that and like the difficulties you might have had when it seems like you have like 2 diametrically opposed pathways basically happening? You're having these experiences in contact, and you're working for a government entity that is its own, very nuts and bolts and rooted in materialism.
Yeah.
How did that work with you?
Okay, so I have a human consciousness and I have a interdimensional consciousness. I know through visions, and when I was 30 years old, they explained to me and showed me a vision, because after I saw that my children were being taken, I was so upset and I demanded to know why this was happening to me, to my children. What was the purpose? What was the meaning? And they showed me a vision of myself. And in the vision, they showed me as a interdimensional kind of a ethereal. Interdimensionals are kind of real tall, pale, kind of luminescent. And they showed me as being that. And I was being walked down the process of my soul's essence going into my mother and into her, the baby within her. And they told me that I had made an agreement to come here and be a part of this humanity awakening. That this was something that has been planned for a very, very long time. When I was 30, they couldn't explain it all to me, just enough to keep me calm and not freak out, I guess, because that's the whole thing too, is they've always wanted to check my well-being, my mental health, my physical health. How am I handling being a contactee, having a human life and an extraterrestrial life? Because my extraterrestrial life is just as active as my everyday life. In my either being physically taken or within my dream state, it's ongoing all the time. So as far as like all my life, every place I've ever lived, and I've lived in many different countries and been around a lot of cultures, and I did work for the Department of Defense. I was a civilian, and I worked in the dental facility, which was a teaching facility. And everything that I did, I think they led me in that direction, and they helped open those doors. It was instigated by them, something they wanted me to experience. And through me, I am their eyes, so they've been with me since birth. And through my eyes, they can understand more about the human experience. So this wasn't anything that the government really, I could be wrong. I don't think they know about me. I don't know, and I don't care. It doesn't matter. But I do know that the interdimensionals instigate these type things and have purposely put me in places so I could have the experience. So I did have a security clearance, but that's only because I worked I was a civilian working for the Department of Defense, working with high-ranking commanders and officers, and everybody had one. Everybody had one. It was no big deal, and a lot of people kind of take that and run with it. No, I had nothing to do with extraterrestrials. while working with the government. And no, but I
Okay.
did do that. I did work there.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have Nancy Timms on with us. Her website is timefordisclosure.com. Very easy to remember. Again, that's timefordisclosure.com. So, Nancy, do you find this very difficult to put and verbalize into human words with everything that you're experiencing and what has happened to you? It seems like we have to search for words that we are trying to say with things that are so alien to us, it's hard to understand. And we've had other guests on, especially Michelle, was it Terry Ling Keel who was healed? She did the books on extraterrestrial healing and things like that, and her story is very similar. And it's very hard to talk about these things, and not only is it stigmatized, but trying to find a common ground of explaining consciousness, So what's your thoughts on some of this?
Well, to be honest, there's a lot of words people use in this field of ufology and paranormal. And I think how do I want to say this? There is no humanizing extraterrestrials or interdimensionals. So I call myself a contactee, but a lot of people that have not even experienced what I have experienced call themselves a contactee or an experiencer because they simply saw something or they simply said at a C5 event, et cetera, et cetera. What I am is far above and beyond. I have physical, hand in hand, touching, feeling, all these things. And when people ask me, what are their names? We do not use names. Humans use names. They do not use things. Everything is telepathic. Every person that I'm telepathic with has their own frequency. Their frequency is their signature. So, and then you ask, where are the interdimensionals from? The interdimensionals are from outside of our visible range of seeing. They are from a different dimension. There is no word in our language. And if they told me or gave me one, for me, I wouldn't even be able to, it wouldn't make any sense because it wouldn't be human relatable. I know that sounds really weird because everybody wants to humanize these things. And it's simply not. There is no humanizing it at all. They are not humans, So I don't know. It's like you hear these people, they claim to be ambassadors, this, that, the other. Those, I think, are egos looking for fame or whatever. They are what they are. I am what I am. And I'm a human being I'm an energy being having a human experience. And that's it. I am what I am, and I am a contactee with interdimensionals and extraterrestrials. So
would you say that these interdimensional extraterrestrial beings are looking to understand the human existence, what it is that what we're all about then?
Absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
Through me and other incarnates like me, this is firsthand knowledge. They know everything I do, everything about me. And throughout my life, they have come to me. I've gone through 2 divorces. I've had many struggles, which I've mentioned in my bio I sent to you. Being a human being is not an easy experience. It's the hardest experience of all.
Buddha said life is suffering.
Yeah.
I think that's probably the most accurate statement ever made.
Absolutely. And that's part of the human experience. That's just part of life, So through these things, they have learned a lot about human beings. And also I have learned a lot. This is my first time to experience being on Earth. And so I understand a lot of things now. I don't know how much a lot of people are even willing to want to know. I have to be very careful, because there's things that I know, like we all have a soul and all have a consciousness. Our consciousness it's not within any organ in our body. When we die, our life is not over. Our consciousness goes on, and we have many more lives ahead of us, not necessarily in a human physical form, but we can choose other forms, or we can come back and repeat here on Earth. There's many, many different things involved in. And I think that's the whole point, is that we are now at this pivotal moment in time where we are starting to understand these things without thinking that they are gods, or without thinking they are angels, without thinking it's Satan, without thinking, we can actually understand it on a level that they can actually eventually come down and have interactions with us face to face. Not just with individuals that incarnate here like me, but with humanity overall. And that's why they are reaching out. They are here in big numbers now. And the reason why they are here is because our frequencies as human beings is raising. They can see that we are evolving. We are peaking. We are making the biggest leap since our creation. We are at a pivotal moment to where we are moving from our 3D realm and of thinking, 3D level of understanding, 3D level of what we see. We're moving up into a new dimension, and dimensions are not physical places. They are higher levels of consciousness. So our reality and our world is changing around us, and we are changing with it. But it's going to be at a beautiful, slow place, just like in our creation. It has to be done in this slow way so that all of humanity understands and knows that we are all a part of it. And that's why I say we, humanity, we are the disclosure. It doesn't matter what governments or whatever anyone else says. We as the overall humanity are understanding our world around us. We're understanding our true origins. We're understanding things about our earth that we've been lied to about. And we are going to also learn to not hold grudges against the people that have deprived us from these things. We are going to learn that this is what paved our way into making us who we are today. And what decisions we make from this day forward with this knowledge is the most important things that we'll be making in our futures, for our future generations of humans.
Since you brought up some statements about kind of like the religious figures, Satan and gods and angels and things like that, did they tell you that they've tried to make contact before in the past and they were shocked to be recognized, or with where we were at in our stage of development, that they were being elevated to this kind of level of spiritual being instead of just a being of consciousness or an extraterrestrial, something along those lines?
The way they explained it to me is through their evolution, and as it will be with humans, as we evolve upwards, higher frequency in our evolution, negativity, wars, evil, all these things will cease to exist. We will walk away. We will realize it no longer serves us. It no longer serves us. And we will simply quit watching the news. We will simply quit paying attention to these people that are trying to draw us into attentions of war and of all this misinformation. I'm not saying that they're not real. I'm saying these things are all done. We have been controlled by a group of dark forces that are over any of our governments. They play our governments like puppets. They play humanity like puppets. They control our population. They control our food, our water, our air. It all has toxins in it. They control our population by keeping us unhealthy in that lower consciousness so that we die at a very young, early age. All of these things were done intentional, and all these things need to change. We should have free energy. We should not be using fossil fuels. We should not have any poverty on this planet. We should not have any diseases on this planet. When we were created, everything we ever needed was put here to help us better and sustain our lives. And there was some dark forces that have been over for decades created all these negative scenarios. It started way, way back. Differences in languages, racism, differences, just all kinds of things to create negativity. Our media is controlled by dark forces. All these things are done to keep drama and negativity, because as long as they can keep humanity separated, because when we were created, we were intended to be one. We are all one, in balance with our planet, in balance with all of nature, in balance with the universe, in balance with all things. We are all one, and we are supposed to be united. But they have intentionally kept us in dismay and divided, because that's how they can manipulate and control. And they know once we come together and we realize this, we're unstoppable.
So these dark forces that you're talking about, what are these dark forces? Because obviously they must be separate than what you're dealing with your contact, right? So what do we got at play here? Do we have some type of a intergalactic war, light versus what's going on, and why are they picking on us? We got enough problems as it is.
What you're looking at is human beings that are elites. They are controlling everything. And they have done some trade outs with some lower realm extraterrestrials, traded technology for them. And they did some research or things of that nature, something that served their agenda. And they are considered like a little rogue group. They are not from the majority populace of extraterrestrials and interdimensionals, and definitely not part of interdimensionals. So all that stopped, by the way, a long time ago, because when they saw that humanity is waking up and reaching higher levels, higher frequencies, they said no more playing around with these governments, no more playing around with these elites, leave humanity alone. And so basically it is higher elites, and they are controlling everything in our lives. You know, we work 9 to 5, we have these materialistic goals, and these things really serve us no value. You know, all we do is line their pocketbooks with money. What really needs to happen is for us to understand that we are all energy beings. We are all here on Earth to have a human experience, and we should be enjoying our lives. Every aspect, from being young, from being a baby, all the way up into our elder years, it should be a longer life expectancy. It should be without negative things around us. It should be. So as we reach higher consciousness, we will become more aware of these things. And in higher realms, or which are not physical places, higher consciousness, there is no room for these negative warlike ways. And that's extraterrestrials and interdimensionals have reached that point. But so you ask, why did a few, in their eyes, they don't feel like they did anything wrong. It was one race out of over 60 different races of grace, and every race has many, many different races. And not all of them are as fond of humanity or human beings as the majority are. There are a few. And they would never create a war against us, and they would never do anything intentionally wrong. However, some of these abductions were perceived that way. And I think those were very real. I'm not saying they're not real. I'm not saying they're made up. But I do know that. Let me give you an example. I don't,
Okay.
This is hard to not.
We
step
like
on.
examples here.
This is hard not to hurt people's feelings or whatever. Okay, so, all right, today, at the level of consciousness that we are, if you go back into biblical times, and you've heard in the Bible, they talk about the shining ones, the shining ones, the shining ones. If they were to see us at that stage of evolution and that level of consciousness and frequency, we would appear as the shiny ones to them, because we are of a higher level of consciousness, a higher frequency. Everything is in the universe and in life is about frequencies and higher consciousness. And this is how we gain more freedom, more knowledge, and move out of this materialistic, warlike ways, is by reaching these higher levels. So that's the point. We are moving out slowly into a new way of thinking and a new way of living. And it won't be like the difference of night and day. It is done just like a butterfly. It first starts off as a cocoon it's in a little cocoon, like a caterpillar in a cocoon, and it slowly works its way out. And if you go in and if you try to help it, if you're standing there watching and you want to help it along the way, you're actually killing it, because it never developed its higher consciousness. It never developed its muscular. It never developed its rational thinking of how to work itself out of situations. So that's basically how they see us. They cannot come down here and fix everything for us. They cannot take over and do anything, because human beings are here on free will, and we all made a choice to be here, and they cannot interfere with these things. So there's a lot of things that they see happening that they can't interfere with. That doesn't mean they don't want to. It just means that they are bound by cosmic realm boundaries on what they can do here.
Very interesting. All right, everybody, that website, once again, for Nancy, is timefordisclosure.com. Like I said earlier, easy to remember. And speaking of that, it is time for disclosure. And I'm wondering how you felt when you started to see the U.S. government having these meetings, or I should say hearings. Congress is involved. They want to know what's going on. And then you hear about the inner turmoil between the ones that want to let disclosure happen and other ones that are very religious, especially certain people from that Bible Belt who represent the Bible Belt in the lovely District of Columbia, who are afraid of this and think it's demonic in nature and things like that. So when you saw these things starting to happen with our government and more governments around the world, not just ours, talking about this and having meetings and all of this good stuff, was it like a weight off of your shoulders? I know for me, it was kind of validation, because Michelle and I see in that triangle. Now, we were not abducted or had contact other than, the craft or something told me, that we didn't belong there, get away, and hit me with the most terrifying feeling I ever felt in my life to get out of there. And they wanted me not to stop. And trust me, we were so shocked. We didn't even pull out cell phones to take pictures or anything. Michelle's just sticking her head out the window, looking at this thing, and it's not making any noise or anything. And I'm just freaking out, but yeah, so, we thought we were crazy, and I would have never said anything if she wasn't there to back up my, what I saw happen and what she saw happen. And, now it's like, wow, all of these people on our Facebook group, all of these people emailing us, telling us that they've seen these things, your story, MUFON. And then you dig into the historical stuff, 1966 here in Michigan, 1994. I mean, Unsolved Mysteries did a whole show about the UFO flap on the west side of the state. And then there's all this other stuff going on. And it's like, yeah, we've really been kept in the dark. So when they started bringing this forward, it was like a big, like, okay, guys, it's time to talk and take this seriously. And so what are people's experiences? So what was going through your mind when you started to see, oh my God, they're having hearings about this? They're acknowledging these things. It's about time, or what, you know?
Yeah, I was super excited, and I still
Yeah.
am super excited. And I see the changes going on in the world. I see it happening all around me. And what people don't realize is that extraterrestrials and interdimensionals all have souls, and they believe in a creator source. And they do not claim to have created us totally. From what they tell me is that they played a part. They do not claim to have done every single thing at all. They played a part. So that's what I keep saying and stressing, is that a lot of things that have been written, there's a lot of misinformation because fear drama sells. Okay. When people write these books and retell these stories, they add things in it to sell things. So from what I understand, they played a part, and they do believe in creator source, and that is equivalent to God. And, they don't call it God. And for them, it is the creator of all universes and all galaxies, because we are not alone. We've never been alone, and we are not the only universe, and this is not the only galaxy. We're not the first beings to go through an evolutionary stage, and that's what they're looking for. Is they travel among different galaxies and universes looking for beings that are ready to step up and evolve and participate into the cosmic realm. But I think it's beautiful and it's exciting, and for me, it is my life's sole purpose. That's why I am here. That's why I chose to be here. It validates everything they've said to me, and it makes sense. And also, I know that it's going to continue, and it will happen. The time frame and stuff, I don't know. In extraterrestrial interdimensional world, there is no such thing as time. That's another human created thing. So it depends on us and how we handle this new step of evolution, how we handle this new AI technology that we're being introduced. And they sent my son and I to Mexico and had us meet an indigenous tribe, and they took us on different experiences. They never let us have ours at the same time, but they wanted me to understand that AI technology, if used in the proper way and kept as a man-made tool, it can be a beautiful, wondrous thing. And it will not take away jobs from us. It will create new types of jobs and create a system and a way of thinking and living to where we will not even call jobs. We will call them service to self, service to community. And it will be things that we love to do. And we will not place a value on what we choose because of what it pays us to keep up with the Jones. We will walk away from that style of living. We will pick something that we truly enjoy and love, but it also gives to a community of where everybody's doing the same. So, I could talk about this stuff forever and ever and ever. And I know we're on a time period, but there's just so much that we are going to be introduced to, new ways of thinking, new ways of living. And we have everything in the world to be happy about. And we all chose to be here. And this is the biggest thing. And we are all a part of it. This is not about me. This is not about the United States. This is a worldwide phenomenon, and we are all a part of it. And whether you realize it or not, you are a very major part in this, because they probably telepathically, they wanted you to see them, and you are doing exactly what they wanted you to do. You are helping me. You are helping the world to understand what is going on in our world around us at this magnificent time. So
Well,
don't
that was kind
undersell
of
yourself.
yeah. Well, that was kind of one of the questions I had here on my list that I wanted to talk to you about. On your Facebook, when you're talking about your profile on Facebook, you had mentioned that you're a motivational speaker, and you kind of hinted at this a little bit, and you chose to be here and things like that. But do you think that these experiences have led you on this path to where you're at? You say you chose to be here, but did you really choose to be here, or were things laid in place for you
Both.
to make those? Okay, go ahead. Explain that. That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I chose to be here. And I realize that, and I've seen the vision, and it's real. I understand that, but I also know that this has been. Nobody likes me to use the word grooming. They say it can be misunderstood or whatever, but I'm 64 years old, and that's just my, how I was raised. It's like you teach. I don't know how to. Anyway, my experience is good or bad. Okay, anything in my life, good or bad, has made me who I am today. It is all what served a purpose, and it makes me who I am. And yes, throughout these things, and because I have experienced these things, I'm not speaking to you about things that I read in a book. I'm not speaking to you about things that I saw on the internet. These are things with my face-to-face interaction with them. I'm speaking from my heart. I don't think about what I'm going to say when I come on and have these podcasts. I just let it all happen, and I speak from the heart, and I ask for their guidance. I meditate before every one of these and ask them to be with me and to make me be able to be relatable to everyone that listens, to help me to say the right words, to help me to have the knowledge and the right information. So I get guidance from them 100%.
What did your son, you said both your sons had these experiences.
Yes.
How did that work out for them? What did they think? What was their struggles, and how are they dealing with everything as of current day?
They are beautiful and fine. They are very talented in their own different ways. The oldest one has experiences just like I do. He has lots of downloads, and my experiences are usually more physical. He gets a lot more like the information put in his head, but he's a lot more, his IQ is a lot higher than mine, and he's very computer oriented and all those things. I didn't grow up in that era, so
right,
it's different. So, and he feels like that we were all, and I understand this too. We were all part of something that came here to work together. It is a mission. We are on a mission, and it's a purpose. But I also know that I will not live as long as they will. So there's a higher purpose for them. Sure, right now they want to help me, and they help me to do all this technical aspects of, the lighting and the podcasting and the website. They created all that. I didn't pay anybody for anything. My children did all this for me because they are a part of this, and this is just as important to them as it is to me. So it's a very unique situation, and I feel very blessed, and I'm very thankful.
Very different than how you grew up with this stuff, isn't it? With being told not to talk and don't mention it, but now your family.
They have me. Yeah. I didn't have anybody until they got older, but I never lied to my children. I always told them what I thought was real, and I always have told them there were things beyond what we can physically see with our eyes and stuff. So we, that, and I'm thankful, because, it wasn't so much fun though when my son was in kindergarten, and he told his school teachers and everybody in the class that his mother sleeps with crystals, you know, because when I was in my 30s, they told me always choose the color blue. They told me to take lots of herbs, try to eat organically, try to take herbs and try to, stay away from over processed, all these different things. They were trying to get me on a health kick even back when I was in my 30s. And, when I would use sleep with amethyst crystals close by, or sometimes like have small ones in a bag and I'd slip under my pillow. So, and I was, I had like a closet full of supplemental herbs and stuff. And I had the herb Bible, all these things. And these were all because of what extraterrestrials and interdimensionals were encouraging me to do. So, I was a rather strange mother in a lot of ways, I guess. But when this teacher said, "Oh, you sleep with rocks," and I'm like, "Yes, I have some crystals by the bed." So, yeah, it's been kind of strange at times. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we came from this earth. We should have some kind of connection to it, and not run around like we are so separate from this planet and the food that we get and the animals. And, we should be more gracious and, be more caring of.
Well, it's a matter of respect and appreciation.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Everything was put here. Obviously, we have to eat some things. Obviously, we have to keep ourselves warm, et cetera, et cetera. So when I was in Mexico with my son, when the interdimensionals came to get me, they took me outside of the cabin and they took their hands and said, "Everything is alive. Everything is alive." And then through the vision they showed me, when they did their hands like this, I could see plants communicating. I could see trees communicating, and a tree was laughing at me. And I asked the interdimensional, "Why is he laughing at me?" And he said, "He is not laughing at you. He's laughing at humans or humanity, because you run around chopping them down, banging nails at them, this, that, and the other, and you have you don't recall. You breathe the air they produce. You eat the fruit from their trees. You use wood that makes your homes or keeps you warm and cold. You have to do all these things and have no intelligence to understand that we are living conscious beings and we are here to share with you, but you don't have to run around just chopping us down for no reason at all, basically." So it was amazing. That was just one of an amazing experiences that they wanted me to visualize and be a part of. And it really, really did a lot for me. I mean, I have much more of appreciation and I understand. And my son spent a whole day with the Zapotecs, which is an indigenous tribe up on the mountain they sent us to. And they were the most eco-friendly human beings I'd ever seen in my life. And they understand their connection with the planet Earth and with plants. And so when they would go out foraging through the forest, they would never cut a whole tree down. They'd only take what they need. When they went and collected parts of plants for food, like mushrooms, they would never take every single one of them. They would take 3 of a family of 5. They called them a mushroom family. They called a plant a family, and they would only take parts of it from different plants, not just take up all of one plant. So it was amazing.
So do they talk about, we are a conscious being, and our frequency and everything is elevating as we evolve more and more. But do they ever talk about how our technology also gets in the way? I know you mentioned AI, and AI is going to be good or bad. I mean, it can be a good thing depending on which way you approach it, or it can be, something not so good. But do they talk about the fact that, our kids are spending so much time in front of computers and the phones, and do they even know what grass feels like on their bare feet? What is their thoughts on what they're seeing the human race kind of evolving, but then kind of devolving as well?
No, that's what I'm saying. We are at this pivotal moment. We can walk forward and increase our frequencies moving forward, which is enlightenment and understanding of our world around us and being better human beings. Or we can stay in this realm that we're in, which will be it will be the end of us. So we have to change. We will change. I don't know how long it will take, but the way I see it and the visions that they show me is to be patient, but they are doing their part and we all have to do our part. We need to start trying to be individually better human beings. Look within, find our soul self, for me, I don't, I know the Nancy that the world has programmed. What I wanted to know is the Nancy within, the Nancy that chose to come to Earth, the Nancy that has a sole purpose here on this planet. And if people would start to meditate and ask their subconscious to open up into their human consciousness and to reveal your inner self to you and say, I give you permission. I will be able to handle it. Or say, as I'm ready, reveal this knowledge to me, because it is a lot to absorb. And so we don't, just like with me, they could not tell me everything all at once. It had to be a gradual thing I grew into so that it didn't freak me out, so that it didn't rock my mental health. So people can ask themselves to their subconscious to do this. And I do this every single night. I ask my inner self, please, more knowledge, please remove barriers. I can handle any knowledge that you are withholding from me, because our brains do that. Our brains protects us.
You had mentioned that, they've been visiting us for eons and centuries and decades. And,
yes.
There are writings about craft in the Bible and
yes.
witness reports, ancient, seagoing craft, seeing things come out of the water and things like that. What are their thoughts on like what happened here in 1947 with Roswell and these crash recoveries? Are these craft, is that them crashing or is this something else? Or is it a psyop? I mean, I've heard so many different angles to this. Is it the government just putting fake things out there or saying it's UFOs to cover up things that they've messed up? So what is your feeling, and have you asked them or talked to them about this?
There are many, many different races, and the Roswell incident was real. And they cannot fly any of that craft because the craft is a living conscious being and it is bonded to a pilot, and they are created and bonded together. I understand this because I am bonded to a gray that comes and gets me and takes me to craft where I go to see the interdimensionals and the other extraterrestrials up there.
And I believe you've said that it's a she. It's like
she's a female
energy.
She is a reddish brown color, and we are bonded. And she is a hybrid that was created by the tall grays and the interdimensionals to do the legwork. Interdimensionals and extraterrestrials have a problem with the density of Earth. They're not compatible. They can do it, but it's not comfortable. They don't like it. So they created this hybrid that comes and does the legwork. Once I get on craft, I don't even see her until it's time to come home. So Roswell was real, and that was a race of beings that were basically explorers, and they were just checking out Earth, and they got caught up in like a electrical type storm type thing and crashed. And there was more than one, and there were some that were alive, and one was alive for a while. And we cannot fly these things and understand totally all of their technology, but that one that did remain did help them to understand some of it. But they are higher consciousness. Even if they told us, if we're not on that frequency or that level of higher consciousness, it makes no sense. And we just simply can't do what they can do. So at that time, which was, I think, even a surprise to them that event happened, because they didn't anticipate that happening, I don't think. But it did happen, and it was real.
Yeah, I believe that something did happen. It was real, and the government did not know what to do. I mean, they just
Right.
and then that probably started to give birth to the whole idea of crash retrieval, right? So,
Yes.
which we now
Well,
know was a
and-
real thing thanks to
Yeah.
this latest report.
And the thing is that for our country to admit, even to this day, to admit to these other countries that are at war, that there's things beyond our physics, things beyond our consciousness, how is the world would feel so vulnerable. But that's why all these things had to happen for humanity to understand. Now that we are evolving, we're making a leap in evolutionary thinking. What once seemed crazy and demonic, we will now see it differently. Now is the time. It's all happening, and we're all here witnessing it, and it's going to be done in the right way.
Yeah,
it couldn't happen before. We were not ready. We were not ready.
Right, we
A
were
lot of
still
people-
that caterpillar pushing
Yes.
itself out
Yes.
of the chrysalis, right? The cocoon.
Yeah.
And we need to be pushed and struggle and
It is just
suffer to grow.
Just like when we're born, we have to crawl before we can walk. Same
Right.
thing.
Yep.
It's just that's the way the universe works.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
All right. Well, Nancy, we are getting ready to wrap this up here.
Okay.
Before we go, is there anything you got coming up in the future here? It's going to be an interesting summer with a lot of conventions and things happening. You got anything planned coming up?
I do. I'm planning on going to one convention that's in Florida, and I'm also doing tons of podcasts. And I'm going to try to get more active within MUFON communities and do a lot more of that. So I don't know. I'm reaching out around the world. I'm not just staying within the United States. I am podcasting in Mexico, Germany, Europe, Canada, Belgium, blah, 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 Thailand, everywhere, because this is a worldwide phenomenon. And this is not about me. This is about the world and us being ready. And I hope that, I can meet some other people that are like me that have incarnated here. And I guess we are in different areas for a reason so that we can put out the information. But I would like to see us all get together at some point and try to, just collaborate on some of this stuff and help each other.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, what my main goal, what I would really love to do is speak before the United Nations and try to get them on the bandwagon of understanding that this is real. This is not about selling a book. This is not about selling T-shirts. This is not about selling a course or lessons. This is a worldwide phenomenon, and it is the biggest thing ever. And people need to know the truth. People need the right information, and they need to know that it's okay not to believe everything that you hear or whatever. Do your own research, find your own answers, look within, ask yourself to help open up and help you. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the questions we always like to ask is, do you have any ties to Michigan up here in the north? So any family or friends or any travel destinations you like up here?
Oh, absolutely. I have family that lives in the state of New York, so I'm not, and I have some cousins that live in Michigan. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yep. All right. Awesome. Well, everybody, it's been a great time tonight with Nancy Thames, and you
Thank you
can
for
go to
having
her
me.
and you can go to her website. It's very easy to remember. Timefordisclosure.com. And you might have recently seen, and I didn't realize this, but you were recently on Jimmy Church.
Oh, yes, I was. Yes.
How was that experience for you?
I loved it. I had a lot of fun. It was great. I've been on Coast to Coast as well.
Okay. Okay. I didn't see that, but I saw you on Jimmy just a few weeks ago, I believe it was. And I wanted to ask you, that's one of the things I wanted to ask you. How was your experience on his show?
It was great. It was, he asked me some really fun questions. And, we talked about some Bigfoot, and some things about Bigfoot. And these were things that I have had experiences with extraterrestrials about Bigfoot. So we got to talk about some things that other people haven't even thought about asking. So it was cool. So I have
that's
to come back
awesome.
and do another show with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We'll get something set up within the next couple months. We're pretty much booked up for the next
Yeah.
little bit. Plus we're starting our summer vacation and taking some little vacation time that we
Yes.
need to recharge. So
Yes.
all right. Well, once again, everybody, it's Nancy Thames. It is time for disclosure. And Nancy, we want to say thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, Michelle. Well, I think we need to get ready for this last big push for school this week. What do you think?
Just a few more days.
Just a few more days. Just a few more days. Yeah, I've got.
I had a little bit of a discussion going in chat tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. I see Hides and Grass was asking, are we going to have Zelia Edgar on
Zella Edgar. So I asked him to email.
Oh, we'll definitely look
more
into that.
information.
Well, these people that have these experiences are fascinating, and they are as different and diverse as people are. And it's very interesting to hear some of these experiences that people have. And Nancy is very special.
Well, and I know that she talked about free will.
Yes.
That this was free will for her. And I don't know. For me, it's kind of like the free will versus prophecy. Wouldn't this have been laid out for her?
Well, and then there's some people out there on the science psychology thing that, say that we don't have free will. We like to pretend we have free will. But really it's our genes expressing themselves, and we are just going through the environment as it influences us, and our genes are responding. So, is there free will?
That you have more of a prophecy set out for you?
Sure. Yeah. Your genetics are your prophecy. That is your, that is some of the thoughts out there, so maybe we'll get somebody on to talk about free will and how that all plays out. Cause we want to talk to anybody out there that we can. So
I'd love to talk free will versus prophecy.
And I definitely want to get somebody on, about mythological things as well. And so we're working on that too. So,
yeah. But we're laughing because we've had some pretty dark discussions in this house.
So I am working on having a very controversial person on the podcast here. Hopefully I'll hear back soon, but it'll be something very interesting. All right, Michelle, I think it's time for us to get out of here and let these people get ready to start their work week, and us to do the same. What do you think?
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night, everybody. And remember, keep those eyes, Michelle,
to the skies.
Okay. I'm looking up right now because I can't push the right button